Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, you're welcome, and if you're a returning subscriber, you are also welcome. In today's video, I'll be teaching you how to cut this beautiful corset. If this is something you're interested in, keep watching. This video is for you. So to start this pattern drafting, you fold your pattern paper into two or one, as the case may be. Then you mark half inch sewing allowance, which will be for the zipper at the front. You just mark that half inch like the way I'm doing now. Then you draw a straight line. Just draw a straight line after marking the half inch. Yeah, you draw a straight line. So after marking the half inch, then you take the measurement of your waist length. The measurement of your waist length, you take it for this pattern I'm drafting. The measurement is 16 inches. Then I'll mark the 16 inches there. So that's the 16 inches. So I'm trying to draw up the line for this zip allowance that I drew the other time. So now I want to label the parts, the half inch parts. So that's the zip allowance, so I don't get confused when taking the other measurements. So now let's start by taking the other measurement. So now you mark your bust length. So for this measurement it is 8.5. Then you take your under bust measurement. Then you draw a straight line across those points. So then after that, on the bust length measurement, you go up by 2 inches, which will be your chest line. Then you draw a line across the part also. So now let's label the line so we don't get confused. The chest line, the bust line, the under bust line, and the waist line. So now it's time to measure our shoulder measurement so we can draw out our neckline. So the shoulder measurement for this pattern is 7 inches. So I mark the 7 inches across the top line and also across the chest line. Then I draw a straight line connecting those 2 points. So then I drew a curve just to make the armhole. You can use your free hand, or if you have this curve, this French curve, you can also use it just to indicate like an armhole there. So after that, you measure your bust span, that is your nipple to nipple measurement. You divide it by 2. Then you mark it on your bust length, your under bust line, and on your waistline. You divide your nipple to nipple measurement, you divide it into 2. So now you draw a line on those points you've marked your nipple to nipple measurement. You draw a line. So from the bust line, you go down by 3/4 inches, depending on how busty you are. You can do more or you can do less. Then on the waistline, you draw like a dart, that is half inch on the one side and half inch on the other side. Then you draw the line to that point. We went down by 3/4 inches. Just draw as if you're making a dart there. So now on the other bust line, you add half inch to just initial line you've drawn before. You add half inch, then you connect those points, those new points, to the waistline, to the formal dart at the waistline. Just look at what I'm doing, you will understand. So now you measure from your bust line to your under bust line. You can use your tape, but since I have a compass here, it makes the work easier for me. So I just measure from the bust line to the under bust line. I use the compass to measure it, then I draw a cycle. I drew a cycle around it to know my bust span, the wideness of the bust. So after that, on the chest line, I measured half inch. I just measured half inch there. I will need it later, so I measured half inch there. And then, so from this point we went down by 0.75, that is 3/4. You connect that point to the new dart line you made at that under bust line. Please just look at what I'm doing, you will understand. So those new points, you connect it in a curvy way. Just make sure it is curved here. So after that, let's draw our neckline. You can draw any neckline of your choice. You can use any measurement of your choice depending on what is suitable for the pattern. So yeah, I just mark, I think 3.5 inches. Then I'm connecting those lines just to make a neckline, just a simple round neckline. So now I measure the remaining part of this side, then I divide it into two, then I connect that point on the shoulder to the bust line. From the shoulder to the bust line, you connect the point with a straight line. So we measure what is on the under bust, that is the dart there. Then we take the measurement, we divide it into three. You take 2 parts from that side and half and 1 part from the other side. Then you connect those points on the cycle you've drawn, those points you've indicated there, you connect it to the bust line. So now, to avoid our corset from opening, just to tighten the upper bust, you just take 3/4 inches from both sides, but you use the curvy side to draw it. You take 1/4 inch from both sides, then you use the curvy part of your French curve, or you can use your hand just to connect that point to the bust length. Just look at what I'm doing, you will understand. So now it's time to draw the curvy parts. So from that 0.5, remember the 0.5 you mark on the chest line. So you connect that point to the under bust using the curvy part of your French curve. From that chest line, the 0.5 went in on that chest line to the under bust to draw a curve line. You connect those points. So now, to continue the measurement, you divide the remaining part there into two, then you go down by 1/2 inch or more, depending if you want your corset to still go down, if you want it to be lower rather. So but for this I use 0.5. So now you connect those lines, those points, connect that one. The new line we just drew after the chest line to the under bust, you connect it. Then you connect that point too to the circle. You connect it like that in a curvy way, and you also connect that other part to the 0.5 inch we took out there, that point to that point too. So now we've drawn the cup. Let's use our marker to trace it out so it can be more visible. Please, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe for more videos like this. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. If there's any part that you don't understand from this tutorial, you can drop a comment in the comment section and I will respond as soon as I see the comment. So now let's take the remaining measurements. Your bust measurement, you divide it into 4. As if it is 32, you divide it into 4, which is 8. Then you take the measurements. Then you measure the part that on the chest line, you add it back, and then you add your sewing allowance. That is the sewing allowance for the side, the joining of the side. So on your waist line, you also measure your waist. You divide your waist measurements into 4. If your waist is 28, you divide into 4, which is 7. That's just an example, by the way. Then you also add the darts, the one we took out. So now it's time to connect the chest line to the waist. So now let's use our marker. Okay, before that, because we are making a 3-part corset, from this side you take out 2 inches. You can reduce it depending on how you want it, and on the other side you take out 2.5 inches. Just make sure this side is much more than the other side. So you take out 2 inches also from that side, then you connect those points together. You connect the points together in a curvy way, not a straight line. So that's it. So let's draw out the patterns that we need, the parts that we need. So let's draw it out so that we can know what we are to cut out from this pattern. So now those parts we've used marker to draw out, they are the parts we will need. So now it's time to label, so we know what we are doing. So you label, that's the center front. CF means center front, SF means side front. You label correctly, and you can also put arrows so you know the parts that are coming together. So now it's time to cut out our pattern. If you are still watching up to this extent, thank you so much for watching. And please, if you haven't subscribed, you can just hit the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything, nothing at all. So now it's time to tape. It's time to separate the patterns, the ones we need, and it's time to tape those parts. So we are taping some parts and we are not taping some parts. So just look at what I'm doing. So because I cut this pattern in two by folding it into two, so the other pattern I'm trying to label it. So I can use it for other things. So that's still folded. I'll cut it out later. So now it's time to cut the back pattern. So we need this pattern just for the measurements. That is the height, the length. So that's why I'm just tracing it out, just to know the length. Then I will measure it with my tape. Then I will draw straight lines. So now on the upper part, you measure your bust measurement, that is your bust divided into 4. Then you also take your sewing allowance, that is the side joining. You take the allowance too. Then you take your waist measurement also. So there I'm notching my bust span divided into 2. The bust span, that is your nipple to nipple measurement, divided into 2. That's what I mark here. Then I'm drawing it down. So I'm taking half inch from both sides just to make it that. Then I'll draw it up. So you make it that, just like that. So now let's take our waist measurement. Your waist measurement divided by 4. And you add your joining allowance. So now I don't want the back to just be straight like that, so I just drew a curve, like just going down by 1 inch. So then I drew another line. So now you also label, then you cut it out. So now let's tape the back pattern together so we can cut it as one on the fabric. So that's all about the back pattern. Then let's also cut out the other part of this. So I'm dividing the pattern into two, then I'm going to pin that side too. So when I'm cutting it, I cut it as one. So this part too, I will also pin. So if I'm cutting, I also cut as one. So that's end of the pattern drafting for this corset. So thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, comment, share, like, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.